Welcome to the Bearded Mystic podcast with me, your host, Rahul N Singh. So, today, it's been an interesting day today. I just went out for a walk and some of my hair's a mess. Looks like I'm growing my hair. I don't even know what I'm doing with my hair. I'm going to get it cut at some point. I need to get a haircut. I need to get a beard trim. But anyway, enough about the name and form. So, I think yesterday, or maybe, I think it was yesterday, someone shared a video. It was someone who obviously is a follower of Sadhguru, but remember, this is not a criticism of Sadhguru. This is a follower that made a video. But they made a video accusing Acharya Prashant of saying that Osho was not enlightened. Now, Acharya Prashant did not say that. So I watched the video in which Acharya Prashant spoke about Osho. And he said something that made complete sense. Now, I wonder if I had to speak to people who claim enlightenment and ask them, tell me the honest truth, is there anything called enlightenment? They will probably tell me no. And Acharya Prashant's point was that for Osho to be relatable, he had to declare his enlightenment. He didn't really care about it. And it's true, he doesn't even talk about it in his early talks at all. It's only when people are interested in the whole thing that he starts saying it, because he knows that's how to get people interested. And it's true. I see it on YouTube. Whenever someone says that they're self-realized, or they've had a non-dual awakening, or they're enlightened, their channels blow up. Makes sense. I mean, if you're going to listen to someone, they must be far ahead on the journey. And Acharya Prashant made something clear, that if you have something and it's another form of Maya, right? It's, enlightenment, think about it. Think about this logically. Enlightenment is only relevant in the relative reality, in Maya. At the liberated state, in the ultimate state, which we may call the absolute, does liberation even exist there? Is enlightenment even, something that exists over there? And this was a point that he made. So obviously people like to sensationalize, and so they were like, oh, he said that Osho wasn't enlightened. The guy listened to Osho for years. I think for 5 years he said he listened to Osho. He had a couple of CDs and he played them. I think I've read most English books of Osho's myself. It's interesting. I've mentioned this before. Osho is the reason why he was the best help when it came to deprogramming a lot of my thoughts, and he was the first exposure I had to being the witness. I never heard about being the witness before. Or I may have, but I just never knew about it. But he made it very clear. And then so today I was just listening to his Ashtavakra Gita's, the commentary. It's called the Mahad Gita. And I know, as soon as I turned it on and I heard him speak, it just gave me goosebumps, and actually kind of brought tears to my eyes. I mean, I'm tearing up now just thinking about it, recalling that memory. That's just an appearance in consciousness, but that says something about someone's presence, even like a year, years after he's passed away. And to think that a lot of people just know him because of the Rajneeshpuram, or they think of a lot of people from India think it's just about sex. And all I knew of Osho was he's the first person that taught me how to be the witness. And It was from him I got to know about Ramana Maharishi. It's because of him I got to know about Sri Ramakrishna. So I have a lot to be grateful for. He's the first person, the reason why I knew J. Krishnamurti, and even Yuji. Yes, there's things where I kind of don't agree with Osho. His views on Swami Vivekananda I didn't agree with completely, but that was his opinion of people. I took that as like, whenever he talked about people, I saw his gossip. But when it came to like insights, there was like, I think he kind of knew that people like the gossip. So if you said something bad about someone, it got more people alert. But if you said something good about them, probably no one would really care about it. But besides the point, Acharya Prashant Ji's thought, and I would say insight, was very powerful. And like for years now, I've been downplaying what I've attained, because I kind of feel that, one, it's nobody's business, but also at the same time I'm like, it means nothing. Like, genuinely, I don't think I'm any different to anyone. And if enlightenment makes you feel more superior, or makes you more that you think you're better than others, and I don't think that's enlightenment. Not necessarily how I've experienced it. Again, I do believe that enlightenment can be blessed upon you. Yes, a lot of it's your own work, but I do believe grace and surrender has a lot to do with it. I remember the day I asked my guru for liberation while alive, Jivan Mukti. I remember that day very clearly. I remember what happened that day afterwards, the clarity that I got. I still remember it till now. Like, it feels like it was just yesterday. And maybe I was right until that point where I was saying I was not enlightened. I think I was right to say so. And what does enlightenment mean? And is there degrees of enlightenment? This is the other thing. Like, when people say, oh, I'm this percentage enlightened, or I'm more enlightened than you, you've totally missed the point on enlightenment. Like, how can you get it so wrong? And it's not in degrees. You either get it or you don't get it. That's how it is. For example, if I have a switch, and it's not a dimmer switch, so it's a normal switch, and I turn the light on and off, there's only two options for me, on and off. Enlightenment is not a dimmer switch where it gets brighter. As you, the mind will have its vasanas, it will have its tendencies, it will have all those that you continue to work upon and refine. Sri Ramana Maharishi had them. Everyone has some attachment to the name and form to function. I remember that day. I remember the hug that I got, and I remember it just changing me, transforming me. And I don't know whether, look, someone can turn around and say, my guru didn't bless me, but I know something changed. There were things I was grasping that I wasn't able to grasp before. Those are just on the mental level. Just at a moment, just abiding in awareness without even any effort. That was the thing that was amazing. Checking my desires and seeing how short-lived they are. Yeah, everything just became like on the screen, and I could just see everything, thoughts, tendencies, like my vasanas, my samskaras, everything just on the screen, presented. and just detaching itself away from consciousness. And actually the crazy thing was, it was already detached from consciousness. I thought it was attached. This is the insight that's given. So when people, and the reason why I want to make this one video very clear, like those people that say, oh, Acharya Prashant said it, stop spreading misinformation. Like, if you don't understand Acharya Prashant, then don't talk about him. It made me think about, I saw Artem's conversation with Shiva and Leo, but the second one. Although obviously me and Artem have a past, we didn't get along. Even though I didn't agree with everything he said in the second part of their interview, but there were some interesting insights that he gave too, and again, my refining period, I don't know if it's coming to an end, but like, I can see even where Artem is coming from, and I don't know if he ever sees where I'm coming from, but like, I don't know if he still thinks I'm suffering or I'm a narcissist or whatever. And I think, and the main point I disagreed upon was, if I can recall correctly, and it might not have been Artem at all, but this is something I can talk about in general. But like when people talk about, there's a fine line between narcissism and enlightenment. Again, where's this idea come from? And whoever is spreading that idea is ridiculous. Even to the point when people say there's still ego. Like, no, the ahamkara is just a function. Everyone has to have that function. It doesn't matter if you're enlightened or not. The ego will still exist as a function. You just don't identify that the ego is you anymore. That's the only difference. The identity is that you're just that consciousness, as I mentioned before, that's beyond duality and non-duality, that absolute. You're in that, if I may use that word, abode, that no concept sticks onto. No, how can the ego even stick onto that? It can't. So all these things, in Vedanta we have 4 things. You have the for the antarkana, the inner instrument. But the 2 that I wanted to talk about was, you obviously have the ego, and then you also have chitta, which is the memory, storage of memories. Even that detaches away. You understand it's just a story that you're telling yourself, that you've told yourself, and that your body and mind has genuinely experienced, right? So it's not like it hasn't, but it has. Then, all these things, like, for example, I used to find them so difficult to understand, like how the waking, dreaming and deep sleep states, and how consciousness is in the turiya state, and basically how consciousness is beyond those. I used to struggle with that. Panchakosha, I used to struggle with that, the 5 sheets, the 5 coverings in Vedanta, obviously. I used to find that difficult to understand, and I don't know, like I said, after that day, it all became clear to me, like what it meant by living on the 3 levels of reality. That just made sense to me as well. And so that's why I think I wanted to do the course, because there's nothing better, nothing more incredible than expressing the truth, getting people there, and most of all, just being aware of formless awareness. I think there's nothing greater than that. And I know words are going to be my concessions. I know there some of you may be like, come on, get rid of the concepts. But if right now, if you can just be aware of formless awareness, it's so immediate. Like, even before I even have to say being aware of formless awareness, it occurs before that even before the first word is uttered. That's how That's how timeless it is. It's beyond time. And it's not like that is separate from me, as in there's a separation. There's no separation there. There's no separation between me or anything in this existence. It's all one and the same consciousness. When I say me, I'm not meaning like Rahul in this point. I'm on about pure consciousness. And yeah, I wish everyone could experience this. I wish the whole world could. But, it's true. When Sri Krishna says only a few ever get it, and I see it, I understand why. You have to be mentally ready for it, and to be mentally ready for this means that you got to be sincere in your development, in your pursuit. And that when it happens, that you don't create another ego out of it. Like, there's no point having an enlightened ego, because then you've come back. That means you never really had the transcendence. The transcendence occurs when the ego is its identification detaches from you, and you just are able to rest in the awareness. And my advice to everyone, if you're on this journey and you're stuck, just in the day, once or twice, whether it's when you're brushing your teeth, whether it's you drinking your coffee, whether it's looking at your spouse or your partner or your children, if you're at work, just take 10 seconds and just be aware. Watch everything as an observer, and a detached observer that has nothing to gain or lose from what is being observed. And that's your first glimpse into what enlightenment is kind of like. It's a glimpse, not the complete thing, but it's a nice little gateway. A little, like, you have a door that's slightly open, and you can just see a little bit into the room. That's what it's like. And it's just completely formless. And what's interesting is that this formlessness it's just beyond words right now. If it can, if you could see God face to face and then realize that actually you've been looking at the reflection since the very beginning, that's what it's like. I hope that made sense. I think this is a perfect way to end the episode. But yeah, anyone can be enlightened. Anyone can get an awakening. Anyone can get nothing. And you know what? For the enlightened person, all is well. All is well. Truly. There's so much beauty that I could talk about right now, but we'll do it another time. I hope you have a great weekend. I probably won't have an episode tomorrow, but if I do, I just want to say have a great day and just do that little practice of being the witness for a bit, being the observer. And let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know your views. Let me know how it was practicing this. I would love to know. Okay, thank you. Namaste.